Okay, so this video is converting between radical and exponential notation. Okay, so for example, if you see this, you have the square root of x. Okay, you don't see an exponent here, but technically there is. We'll call it a. And there's also an index to the radical sign. If there's no number there, we assume it's a 2, but we're just using a generic radical right now. So you have a number underneath the radicand sign, you have an exponent and an index. To convert this radical notation to exponential, all you do is take what's underneath the radicand and it turns into a fraction exponent. Whatever the a is goes on top of the fraction and whatever the b is goes on the bottom. So this is the conversion, and you can go from here backwards. If you see a fraction exponent, then you can turn it into a radical, putting the a here and the b here. So let's do some examples. Well, first of all, too, if you look at like the square root of x, like this actual problem, technically your exponent, you don't see one, so it's a 1. And again, when there's no number here, the index to the radicand, it's automatically assumed to be a 2. So we can actually say that the square root of x is actually equal to x to the 1/2 power. That's like the basic one. Now let's do some examples. So if we have 8 to the 6/7, I want to change that to radical notation. So the 8 is going to go underneath here. And then remember from up here, the a is the top, so that's the exponent. So it'll be 8 to the 6th, and the index will go out here. The b, the index is 7. So following this rule and formula here, this is how we convert. Same thing here. This whole thing underneath here is going to go together, and I'm going to put it in parentheses since there's more than one thing there. There's a number and 2 variables. Okay, so if I think about this way, there's no exponent there, so it's just going to be a 1. So this is like my a value. So this is the same as 6xy to the 1/7 power. Now right here we have 8. There's no exponent here, so again I'm assuming that's a 1. So it'll be 8 to the 1/9 power. And going from fractional back to radical notation, I make my sign, my radical sign. Y is what goes underneath. The top number, which is a 5, is my a, so that goes in as my exponent, and the index of this radical happens to be 6. So basically we're saying we're taking the 6th root of y to the 5th power. We're taking the 7th root of 8 to the 6th power. So in converting, you don't actually have to calculate that. You're just converting from one notation to the next.